Good morning. It is May 8th, 2014. In today's New York Times, the editorial page has decided to discuss global warming, and it's under the headline, Climate Disruptions Close to Home. Now, we know that there are going to be people, climate warming deniers, who are going to look at this askance.
Hey there. Let me be the first to offer some rebuttal to this ridiculous liberal commie pinko nonsense in the Times this morning about climate, whatever it is.
Climate warming deniers who are going to look at this askance, who will simply deny all of it, astoundingly. So I thought we'd provide you with the editorial and what I think would be the climate deniers' response. Climate disruptions close to home. Apart from the disinformation sowed by politicians content with the status quo, the main reason neither Congress nor much of the American public cares about global warming is that, as problems go, it seems remote.
Apart from the disinformation sowed by politicians content with the status quo, the main reason neither Congress nor much of American public cares about global warming. Well, of course the Congress doesn't care about global warming and the American public doesn't care about global warming. It's all a fraud. It's all a plot, a theory. It's ridiculous. There's no global warming. Look at me. I'm out here freezing. It's May. It's cool. It's cold out here. What is this nonsense? It's just more commie pinko nonsense dreamt up by the global warming lobby, the powerful global warming lobby, whose interests are so very obvious. They want to sell lots of things.
Anyone who reads the latest national climate assessment released on Tuesday cannot possibly think that way any longer. The report is exhaustive and totally alarming.
Exhausting and alarming. Of course it's exhausting and alarming. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to exhaust you to the point that you can't resist anymore, and it's supposed to alarm you to the point that you'll go out and buy $5,000 worth of roofing photoelectric cells and stop buying good old gas and oil from the people who you've come to love so much. It's just a plot by the global warming people, again, exhausting and alarming. Please.
The study, produced by scientists from academia, government, and the private sector.
Produced by scientists from academia, macadamia nuts is what they are. From where? From academia, the government, and private sector. None of whom can be trusted because they're all on the payroll of the global warming lobby, the powerful global warming lobby. And besides, that's their opinion, see? That's their opinion. Like, my opinion is that there's no global warming, and that's their opinion. And my opinion is based on the fact that it's cold today, and that I don't see what the problem. I like warm. I like it when it's nice and warm. Don't you like it when it's warm? But there's no global warming. There's none. Zero.
Private sector is the definitive statement of the present and future effects of climate change on the United States. Crippling droughts will become more frequent in drier regions. Torrential rains and storm surges will increase in wet regions. Sea levels will rise and coral reefs in Hawaii and Florida will die.
Droughts will become drier. So move to a wetter place. Move to Florida. Everybody lives in Florida. Move to Panama, a rainforest place. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's all going to come back. Torrential rains and storm surges. Well, we've always had torrential rains and storm surges. What's that prove? Nothing. sea levels will rise. They rise, they fall, they come, they go. You move to the mountains. And the reefs in Hawaii and Florida will die. The reefs in Hawaii and Florida will die. Oh, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. I don't want the reefs to die. Oh, no. The reefs are going to die? Oh.
Readers can pick their own regional catastrophes, but here are 3. Number 1, the Southwest will fry.
The Southwest will fry. Well, it's ridiculous. And even if it does, you just go move it all north. Move to Canada. Move it to Alberta. That'll be a nice place to grow crops. People have been chasing around the world forever for places to grow things. And when things change, they move. Isn't that obvious? And it's obvious.
California's relentless drought has been making headlines for years. But while there may be some cyclical relief, global warming will make things worse in the long run, increasing wildfires throughout the Southwest and in California, stunting crops in one of America's great breadbaskets, and greatly increasing the region's historical competition for water, its most precious natural resource. Number 2, the East will soak. Hurricane Sandy provided a costly glimpse into the future that will bring more destructive storms, not because a warming climate will cause more hurricanes, that link is still a matter of debate, but because sea levels will rise, leading to bigger storm surges and greater risks for Americans who live in coastal areas.
The East will soon soak. Well, the East is already soaking. I mean, it rains. You can't predict it. You don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Clouds come in, it rains.
There will also be many more sudden and intense rains in parts of the South and in Florida. As for the sea level, the study went beyond the recent predictions from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
Now, this study went beyond the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and saying that everything's going to get higher and the oceans are going to get higher. And, well, maybe. Who knows? It's not going to bother me. So you move inland. And who needs Florida anyway? Florida's almost 4 feet above the sea level. And if it does, you move. You go to different places. Don't worry about it.
Which forecast a rise of 3 feet unless aggressive measures were taken. The New American Report says that a rise of 6 feet cannot be ruled out. They don't mention how long that 3 or 6 feet is going to take. That was sort of they left it out by mistake, but I imagine by the end of the century they're talking about. Much of South Florida sits at 4 feet above high tide. You should see my song written in 1982, Goodbye Miami, which I will play for you.
Carbon monoxide is spewing from cars. It blots out the sun. It blots out the stars.
Number 3, Alaska will keep melting. An academic study 12 years ago noted an astonishing 5.4 degree increase in the annual mean temperature in Alaska.
Alaska will keep melting. I don't hear anybody complaining up there. Sarah Palin loves Alaska. She can see Russia from there. And she doesn't say it's melting.
Causing melting permafrost and dying forests. Again, it doesn't say since that increase started, 5.4 degrees since when, but I believe it's probably the last 100 years. More of the same lies ahead, shrinking glaciers and summer sea ice, and more global warming as the carbon trapped in the permafrost is released into the atmosphere as methane. The broad contours of the report are not news to President Obama, who said in his State of the Union address,
President Obama going to take over the whole world, illegally make measures to fight this supposed global warming that doesn't exist, and then it's going to do Obamacare, which of course is going to ruin everything. Obamacare is going to kill us all. It's going to make everybody out of insurance. When they want to buy insurance, they're going to have to pay 7 times as much for it. Did you ever hear about the lady in Oshkosh who had a nice insurance policy and Obamacare came through and she lost her insurance policy and they wanted to charge her $16,000 a month for insurance? And that's true. That's Obamacare. Obamacare is ruining everything. And all these people who are getting this Medicaid thing, it's not good insurance. They should be paying for it. They should pay for it. That's what they should do, be paying for it. Obamacare and global warming, to put the two of them into a bucket and bury them. They're terrible.
The broad contours of the report are not news to President Obama, who said in his State of the Union address that the debate is settled, climate change is a fact. And he promised in his climate action plan to impose through executive action new limits on carbon dioxide emissions that Congress has failed to deliver legislatively. And so far, he has done so, announcing rules governing emissions from new power plants and stricter fuel efficiency standards for heavy-duty trucks to go with the historic fuel efficiency standards for cars finalized in 2012. But sterner tests lie ahead. For starters, Mr. Obama must devise new rules governing natural gas drilling, lest leaks of methane, a potent greenhouse gas, erase natural gas's carbon advantage over coal.
And then he says, sterner tests lie ahead. Natural gas drilling, methane, nonsense. I disagree. I just disagree. Methane. I mean, what's wrong with methane? It's part of God's plan. There should be gas and methane, and we'll see plenty of it.
More important, he must follow through with the strongest possible new rules on existing power plants, which account for about 40% of the country's carbon dioxide emissions. These rules, which are now being written and are due to be announced in early June, will be hugely controversial and almost certainly litigated, since regulating greenhouse gases from stationary sources is largely uncharted territory. The climate change deniers in Congress and industry allies.
The climate change deniers in Congress. Look how they go. The climate change deniers. Like Senator Mitch McConnell. Of course they're going to be opposing it. You bet they'll be opposing it. Because they got to sell their coal. Got to sell it, coal and oil, and we need pipelines. We need pipelines all over the place. We need pipelines everywhere.
Like Senator Mitch McConnell, who hails from a coal-producing state, will be ferocious, employing the usual disruptive legislative and legal stratagems. The surest antidotes are continued presidential resolve, backed by voters sensitized to climate warming's dangers. The new report should help on both fronts.
This new report, he says, the new report should help on both fronts. Well, it's not going to help me on both fronts. It's only going to make me more determined to fight anything about global warming, to fight Obamacare, to fight Obama, to fight anything that has to do with anything. Because this liberal nonsense, these people go to college, they get all this information, and they misuse it, and they think they know everything. And then what have they done? Have they done any real work? Have they been out there doing anything real? I don't think so. They're just a bunch of lazy bums, liberal pinkos, who think the world is going to get hotter because they want my money. They want your money and my money. Okay, that's the truth.
The new report should help on both fronts. Hope so.
Old folks and condos are up to their knees with the wind and the salt and the sea.